G.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. I think I got the recording going and just looking around the room. It's 10:31, so we'll go ahead and kick this off. I don't think that this session should go too long. I know some of these tend to kind of go a little bit longer, but we'll also keep our eyes out for a tap to trade, and if something comes up, maybe we can do one of them live. I've been sort of going through different experiments, and right now, I think I'm gonna focus in on really just following the advice of the experts and stop trying to do things on my own, because every time I go off and I try to do things on my own, I tend to get eaten alive by the market. I might make a couple of good trades and then all of a sudden I get eaten alive. So it's kind of like a combination of using the scanners, but mainly really focusing in on what the traders are doing with Akashx. And also keep in mind right now, and Brent actually brought this to my attention this morning, that there's a war going on right now. I know some people don't follow what's happening in the news, others do, but Iran officially attacked Israel, and that has now created a more escalated situation going down. Israel was already obviously dealing with a lot, and now it's getting much worse. And so, who knows how big this is going to get? Obviously, some people think that we're on the verge of World War III. Others maybe don't agree with that. I don't know. And this probably isn't the place to get into politics. But when you're investing, you kind of do have to also have a little bit of knowledge in what's going on around the world. And apparently, in a time of crisis or a time of war, things may be different than when things are more stable. So those are things, again, I'm not an expert trader, so it's not really something I've studied as far as how the market would react instantly to being at war, but apparently there are different strategies that these traders might use. So I think right now it's a good strategy to follow the traders. Although if you followed them yesterday, it didn't go too well, but hopefully you didn't risk a lot in some of the trades that came out after 6 o'clock last night. But the market kind of came out was super volatile, and again, even this morning, it's a little bit all over the place. And I think it's a little bit tougher to predict what's happening for somebody unless they're really in tune with what's going on. So I know Javid had a tap to trade this morning. I got into that. It went immediately down a little bit, and he got out of it. I think he didn't see or he saw something he didn't like. So, it's a lot of volatility right now. So I think that's the good part about being sort of tied to these traders that know more about what's happening in markets as compared to us making those decisions. All right. So anyway, let's kind of jump into some things here, and I want to bring attention to a couple things. One, I did a recording of a video walkthrough over the weekend. I think it was Friday or Saturday, walking you through the process of setting up a challenge and then connecting Tradelocker to Akashx, and just making sure that everything was set up properly. It's an 8-minute video. It's on YouTube, and if you don't have that link, I can share it with you here. But I think everybody probably should have that. It's pretty short and direct. And even if you're not doing a challenge, it still has good info in it as far as what you should be looking for on connecting Akashx with Tradelocker. All that being said, over the weekend, I had another call with a couple people from the team, and we spent more time walking through the setting up a demo account with Tradelocker, and then taking the steps to connect the demo account with Akashx. And we recorded that call. I kind of found a beginning and an end, and I was able to share that last night as well. So those two tools, I think, are good tools to maybe go back to. Of course, we can dive into some of that stuff also here today. I know JoJo, I see JoJo and Big Daddy are on the call, so I know they were the ones that we had kind of worked with, and I don't think that one of the things we did worked. So I told her, JoJo, to come on and we'll just tackle it live, so that way we can, everybody can sort of see what's, what we did. All right, and then other than that, I want to make sure also that you guys feel comfortable in asking some questions, and we can tackle some of the questions. It's one thing for me to come on and just talk at you for however long we're gonna, talk in a training, but I want to make sure that I'm addressing what you need, not where I'm at. It's more about where are you at? What are you struggling with or needing answers on, so that we're addressing your needs in these training calls. I actually, even though we've had the traders come on the calls over the past, several weeks, I talked to them and I was like, listen, I think we just need to tackle some basic things, and then maybe we could come back and revisit having traders come onto the calls live. I think that's great, and it's awesome to hear from expert traders. At the same time, I think that, going over what's happening in the US 30 market or the NASDAQ 100 market really didn't seem that relevant to this group. And, of course, I always want to be professional and respectful, but I think that this group kind of needs more focus on just one trading pair for now, or maybe two trading pairs for now, and just basic simple stuff, so that everybody can get comfortable and up to speed at the pace that they're comfortable with. All right, so all that being said, before I jump in, does anybody have any burning questions that I can tackle? I might not tackle it on the spot, but is there anything that is a burning question that I can that we can maybe address here while we're together this morning?
I got a quick one, Mike or Glenn.
Yes, sir.
I also got excuse me, I got a cold. I was able to get Tradelocker attached to Akashx as well, and I've noticed that the tap to trades are a pretty high lot size. Do you know, are we able to change that at all?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm glad you brought that up. That is something that I wanted to address this morning, is the lot sizes. So I think so first, thank you for the question. I made a note somewhere that I wanted to address risk, and that is exactly what I wanted to focus on, is the lot size, where I think there could be confusion. So when you are trading gold, anybody who's been doing this now knows, or should know, that gold is under the code XAU, and then it's USD. So all that really means is this is gold, XAU, and then the pair, when I say a trading pair, your trading pair is USD. So that's all that means. And I think, and I've said this in my trainings throughout the past couple of years. Learning the language is like half the battle. So just remember when I say a pair or somebody says a pair, that's all that really means is that you're using the US dollar and you're trading gold. No big deal. So if you start to look at some of the calls, whether it's the trade alerts, right? Because we have trade alerts that are coming in. Then we have TTT. So TTT is the tap to trade, or they might call it a tap. And the best way I've found to stay on top of this is to have your phone, or I guess it could be your desktop, open where you have the Telegram channel open and available so that you can be watching the Akashx Telegram channel, and they'll send either an alert or they'll send a tap to trade, and in the tap to trade or the alert, not so much on the alerts, but on the tap to trade, if you agree, all you're doing is you're logging in real quick to Akashx, which should be an app on your phone, and you're agreeing by just saying okay, right? That's the beauty of tap to trade is I don't have to be a trader, I don't have to be an expert, I don't even really have to be looking at the charts. I just have to be able to open the app and press a button and say okay. Like that's how simple this could be. And I feel like I have a tendency to want to dive into the deep end of the pool, and sometimes I forget that not everybody wants to dive into the deep end of the pool. So I've been reminded to maybe come back and swim into the shallow end of the pool a little bit more with everybody so that we can keep it simple. Tap to trade is the simple part of this, right? So you get an alert, you log into your phone, and you agree and you hit OK. Now, there are different trading pairs that can come on alerts, but most of the alerts that you're going to see are going to be with gold. Now, that's not a rule because they could trade US 30 or they could trade maybe Bitcoin, or even I've seen XRP, which is Ripple. I've seen a few different pairs that they've used. But most of the time, they're going to use gold as the trading pair. So you're going to log in, you're going to hit OK. And after you hit OK, you'll see that the entry point, EP, stands for entry point. This is where you're coming into the market. So the market obviously fluctuates up and down. And when you hit OK, and this is why there's a 2-minute timer on this, because things can change in an instant. Like sometimes you might hit OK, that trade was already done. I mean, I missed one. I was in the shower, I got out, missed it. It was done and already was a successful trade. You know, that's why we try not to shower or shower at different times. I'm just kidding. All right. So anyway, the entry point is when you come into the market, right? So let's just say the entry point was 2354, 2354.50, right? If I hit OK and I come in at 2354.50, there's really two other things in that tap to trade. There's a stop loss and there's a take profit. The stop loss is going to be usually a few points, either less or more, depending if it's a long or a short, under where the entry point was. And the take profit, again, would probably be a few points over or under. You don't have to do anything here or here. And really, this is nothing you have to be concerned about because this is already going to be built in. Once you hit OK, it's going to automatically open that trade for you. They're programming the stop loss. They're programming the take profit. So what would you potentially have to navigate? The only thing that you would have to navigate is the lot size. Now, if you don't know what a lot size is, there's plenty of training on defining it. I'm not really great at explaining the actual definition of it, but to keep it kind of simple, it really just means that this is how much you are risking in comparison to what's in your account. So everybody may have a different amount of funds in their account. Some people have demo accounts, so it's not real money, but there still might be, let's say, 100,000 demo account or a 200,000 demo account. Or maybe somebody has real money and let's say they had $25,000 in their account. Or maybe somebody's in a challenge and maybe it's a $200,000 challenge. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, right? So you can't say necessarily as the trader programs these trades and you can't say, oh, I'm going to risk X amount of dollars. You're more kind of risking a percentage of what you have in the account. So they'll make a note like, 0.2% or 0.1% or 0.8%. But essentially they're programming in sort of a lot size that they would risk for that trade. So like as an example, Javid this morning, I think the lot size was 3.95. Now, if you look at a $200,000 demo account or a real money account, doesn't really matter, and you look at a 3.95 lot size, if there's 3 points, so let's use an example, 2354, and let's say it's a sell or a short, right? So I'm shorting the market, right? We again, learning the language. I'm shorting the market. It's a sell. Then my TP might be 2351. So you're basically just subtracting 3 points from your entry point. And then maybe my stop loss might be 2357. That would be my, I'm not saying it was exactly this, but that's kind of an idea. So you're adding 3 points because it's a short. So if the market goes up, it'll hit that stop loss. You'll only lose X amount of dollars. Or if it goes down and it goes down 3 points, then you'll make X amount of dollars. So the X amount of dollars is really going to be determined by your lot size. Well, basically, 4 lots is going to be, I would think, about $1,200. That would be the risk that you are associating with that trade, is about $1,200. So and that's on a $200,000 account. So if I take $1,200 divided by 200,000, that's not quite a full percentage point, and it's not a half a point. It's like 0.6. So they say you never want to risk more than half to 1% over the course of the day, and then your goal should be to hit half or 1% a day. Well, if on this one trade I'm risking 0.6, that's kind of like maybe my trade of the day. If it doesn't go well, if I lose 1,200, and this is what happened to me last night, I'll tell that story in a second, but I did about this, except I did it on multiple trades, but it was all one trade. I just had it set up as multiple trades. I had lost about $1,200. I'm almost now out for the day. I mean, I have a little bit more to play with. Like I'll give myself room to risk $2,000 for the day, which is 1% of the $200,000 trading account. If I go over 2,000, I'm done for the day. And that happened last night. My trading account, I lost 2,100 and I was done. I was like, I don't care what other trades come in for the day. I'm done now for the day. I've lost the most amount of money that I'm comfortable losing over the course of a day. So that's based off of this 3.95 lot size. I could change the lot size. So to answer that question, I'm using that question to teach a bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about. But to answer that specific question, the only thing that you can manipulate on a tap to trade is the lot size. So this is why I think trading with one pair makes the most amount of sense. It's not that I like one pair over other. I don't really care. Does anybody really care what you trade? Nobody really cares. But I want to kind of know that one pair inside and out. So I want to know what that would cost me. I want to know that market, when it's open, when it's closed. Like, it's just good to know how that market kind of moves, how the US 30 moves, which is the US Dow Jones top 30, or the NAS 100, which is the NASDAQ top 100, or the Australian dollar versus the New Zealand dollar. Like, those markets are all going to move different than, let's say, gold or crypto. So you want to kind of just hone in on one market. I would think if you're using Akashx, you're going to be doing gold, because that's essentially what they use. So you could adjust that lot size, and then maybe what you would do is, and the only other thing you kind of have to know is this. So let's say a 3.95 lot size comes in. I can adjust it up or down, right? I can make this a 10 if I wanted to, but if I lose that trade, I might lose, a heck of a lot of money. That would be like $3,000 if it's a 3-point trade. And that's why, again, I said this over the weekend, you can't just, you got to know a few basic things. Like, if you get into this and you think, oh, I'm just going to take taps, right? Like, I don't want to learn any of this stuff, and I'm just going to take taps. The problem with that is, on a tap to trade, like I'm giving you an example of if the tap had a 3-point up, 3-point down strategy, which is what a lot of the traders use. So my risk with the 3.95 lot size is $1,200. Now, I agreed to that risk this morning, right? I was like, that's okay, I'll take that risk. I think if it's a trader, my chances of that being a good trade are better. They don't always hit, but I feel like my chances are much better than if I were to do it. So I'm in, right? I've been waiting for a trade. Great. I took it. He ended up cashing out of it. I made 130 or 150 bucks because it was quick. But if that trade would have lost, I would have lost like 1,200. Now, if it would have went all the way, yeah, I would have won 1,200. And I think it wouldn't have. I think he made a good decision getting out of it early. But I could have adjusted this down to, let's say, a 2 lot size, which would have given me, maybe my risk would have been about 600. But that would be based, again, if it was a 3-point up, 3-point down trade. And this is, I know I'll show you, so this will make more sense when I show you. But if I look at a trade, and let's say that trade was a 6-point stop loss, or Joel likes to use a 10-point stop loss. So a 10-point stop loss on a 4 lot size would be about, I would say, the risk on that, I'm just guessing that the risk on that would be 2,400 would be, that would be, I would say over 3,000 would be my guess. But I would have to take a look at it, but my guess would be it would be over $3,000 would be my risk size on a 4 lot if it was a 10-point drop, right? Because if it was 1,200 for 3 points, 6 points would be 2,400, 9 points would be 3,600. So actually, you're probably looking at about almost $4,000. So if Joel put in a TTT and he had 10 points built in for the stop loss, I'm agreeing to a $4,000 risk on one trade. I am not okay with that. It is your responsibility to manage the risk on your accounts, whether it's a demo account, a challenge account, or your own money. The best way to manage one of these accounts is to treat it like it's real money. You don't want to you don't want to uh, uh, pretend like I've done this, and I'm saying it was a mistake. You don't want to just treat this like it's fake money, even if it's fake money. And the reason why is because you're not really learning anything if you're just gonna gamble and take weird chances. Because yeah, they might work, but if you go into a challenge or you have real money in your account, you're not necessarily going to do any of these things, which means it was a waste and it doesn't matter. Like my MetaTrader 5 account was up like 52%. And I was like, but I made all these stupid decisions that worked, but it really didn't help me any because once I went into a challenge, those same decisions backfired on me. So I wasn't willing to take the risk because I didn't want to blow my challenge account. So it's not just knowing the lot size, it's knowing the lot size versus the parameters of the trade, and that will help you kind of understand what the risk is. And that's the main thing that you need to learn. So there's all these little things that you kind of need to know in order to learn this part so that you can take tap to trades or follow trade alerts without taking stupid risks. And so to answer your question, Randall, the short answer is yes, you can adjust the lot size up or down. But again, that question kind of opened the door for things I wanted to talk about on the training anyway, which is really managing risk. Ultimately, I feel like everybody's working towards the challenge, right? And I think, right? I mean, there might be some people that want to trade their own money, but I think most people are doing this because they want to get good enough to where they could pass a challenge and then they can manage a prop firm account. And that way, essentially, they're using somebody else's money to make money. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that, but it's not easy and it's not going to be something where they're just going to hand out $100,000 accounts or $200,000 accounts like they're candy bars at Halloween. You're going to have to prove that you can manage risk. They could honestly probably care less about how much money you make. I mean, of course, they want you to make money, and it wouldn't make sense if you weren't. But that's not their main concern. What their main concern is managing risk. So they have these prop firm accounts that are pre-programmed where if you go under a certain amount of loss or over a certain amount of loss over the course of a day or grand total, then you immediately bounce out of that challenge, and now the money that you spent to do the challenge you lost, so you would have to reinvest in the challenge. So you don't want to risk anything, right? We want to get through the challenge successfully. So my assumption is anybody that's attending these classes they're focused on trying to learn enough to get through the challenge. The main thing you have to learn is you have to learn how to manage risk.
Hey, Glenn, on a tap to trade, the risk factor was 3.95. Where do you change it? If you accept it, you're taking the risk, but is there a place where you change it before you accept it?
That's why I'm hoping a tap to trade comes up live, and next time I get one, I may actually try to record my phone so you can see it. But what happens is you get the tap to trade. You hit OK. It takes you to one other screen, and it'll because you hit approve, and then it'll take you to another screen. It kind of like pops out a little bit, and the only thing that's there that can be adjusted is the lot size. So most people just hit OK, like you just hit approve and then OK. You're kind of hitting it twice if you pay attention, because you're hitting it once to open it, and then you're hitting it to actually approve it. That second time, the lot size, there's a little window in there, and the lot size is there. and you can adjust it. But
Okay.
what I've noticed, I've done the same thing. I did it 100 times before I figured this out, right? Because I used to get mad. I'm like, why is this lot size? I lost all this money. Like, I mean, it's good when you win, but when you lose, it sucks. And so finally, I realized this 2-minute clock was like messing with my head, and I was rushing. And so I've learned to slow down. Get 2 minutes is a long time. Like if you're paying attention, 2 minutes is plenty of time to open it up, take a look at it, and really evaluate. Okay, number one, do I want to be in this trade? So, like as an example, I don't think we should be following every trader. I just don't. Like, there's a few traders that I like them, but I don't think we should be following them. I'm not going to say publicly who I think we should be following. I think everybody's got to kind of determine that, and that's why we practice with MetaTrader 5 and a free and a demo account, because you can take everybody's trade. But then at a point, you're going to learn who's the trader that you really, or traders that you really want to follow, right? And so that's the first thing, is like if I was setting up rules, one rule is I'm going to follow either like not one, but like one, maybe two, or maybe three traders is really kind of the moon. Because the other thing too is I'm taking all these classes, and each time I go into a session, they're kind of like training a different philosophy than the other traders. So it's like there's all these different ideas and philosophies. So I think it's just easier and simpler if you follow really like one or two, maybe max three traders. And so if a tap to trade comes up, and if it's somebody I don't follow, I'm going to really, I mean, I'm not saying I won't take it, but don't just take every tap to trade. Like, you don't need to do that, right? Like, let's be smart about it, because again, if you treat the demo account, that would probably be my next rule, is treat a demo account like it's real money. Right? That's
Hey,
something.
Glenn, real quick, keep the focus, but are we talking Tradelocker or MetaTrader 5? What are they using? Are they all using the
It doesn't matter
Tradelocker
what they're
demo?
using, because if they do a tap to trade, you're the one who is programming Tradelocker or MetaTrader 5. They're not. It doesn't matter to them whether you're using Tradelocker. So in other words, I use Tradelocker. Let's say you were using MetaTrader 5. A tap to trade
Which
comes
is
out.
easier.
Right, what it is. But it's also not as realistic, and you can't use it in a challenge. So it is easier,
exactly.
but it's a whole different learning curve, learning Tradelocker, and I think everybody should. But I get it. You're right. MetaTrader 5 is a lot easier, and it's a great place to start. So let's say you have MetaTrader 5 and I have Tradelocker. A tap to trade comes in. We both agree. You're trading, I'm trading. It didn't matter what software we were using. What mattered was our software was integrated in with Akashx. The trader made the suggestion, we accepted it. So that part doesn't matter what they're using, but I'm sure they're all using Tradelocker. So, but again, that part doesn't really matter. It's more about just following the traders, and I think that's why, like in the beginning, when you start off, I would say start off maybe with MetaTrader 5. Just take every tap to trade that you can. I guess I'm talking about when you get a little bit more serious and you get into Tradelocker. I still think, like we did JoJo yesterday, and she got an account with Sage FX. Sage FX is not the challenge. This is a broker that you could enroll with, and they're going to give you a free Tradelocker demo account to practice with. I feel like she should treat that demo account as if she's in a challenge. So it's like you kind of want to graduate from MetaTrader 5, which is like how you would maybe start, into Tradelocker, and you're still in training, right? You're still practicing, but just pretend like you're in a challenge or pretend like it's real money, so that you're making decisions that you can now carry into a challenge, so that when you get into a challenge, you're not doing things that are stupid. And Tradelocker is a lot different than MetaTrader 5. I had a hard time transitioning from from MetaTrader 5 to Tradelocker. It was a struggle, and I had to really put a lot of practice into it. But then once you get comfortable, then it's like, it's just two different worlds. But Tradelocker is a lot more realistic to the, real trades. So I would say treat your demo account like it's real money, regardless of what which one you're using. Follow a handful of traders, especially if you're in a challenge. Narrow it down. Pick your partners, essentially. Try to log into their live sessions and really try to look out for their tap to trades. A couple of the rules. The other rules that I've sort of learned, I guess, over the past month or two is target. So, like, my target for the day is 1% profit. Now, I'm not saying if I'm on a roll, maybe I'll stay in a little bit longer. But once I kind of hit 1%, I'm pretty much done for the day. But on the same time, if I lose 1%, I'm out. I'm also done. Because if I'm losing and I'm on a losing roll, then I don't want to keep chasing it and, trying to get it back. And that's also sometimes when you can make bad decisions of how much you are risking. And so you might end up making some poor decisions. So, we can come back and maybe do some more rules. I'm just kind of jumping into some of the ones that were on the top of my head that might help you. Because it's getting into Tradelocker and advancing this is you're going to continue to keep learning, and every time you learn and you get better, you're going to look back. This is what's happening with me. Is I look back and I'm like, oh wow, I really had no idea what I was doing, but then I thought I did, and then you look back and you're like, so you just kind of keep advancing, keep falling or failing forward, and before you know it, you're going to have these skills down. Which is really just, it's not skills, it's more tools, but you'll have these tools down. So let's actually, yeah.
Yeah, so this Mike, I was on talking to Joel a little bit the other day about the tap to trades, and one of the other things you can control. So once they make the trade, it's on your system. You can stop it, you can bump the stop loss, you can bump the profit. But they're going to run those to be a single hit. So you're going to probably see them all do that 3 and 3 or 5 and 5. Now, when you watch Joel, sometimes he'll do a trade where he'll have like 5 take profits, and he'll have a big entry point or a low stop loss because he wants the trade to start. And then he moves that trade, that stop loss up as the market moves up, hopefully as it moves up. So he's basically said he wouldn't do those kind of trades for tap to trades. But the neat thing is they're driving. So if you just want to sit back and watch, they're calling, just like you said, Javid cut a trade off. Yeah, so they're using their intuition to make those calls.
Yeah, and I love that. I was really happy that he did that because the market is a little bumpy, and that's why I love the tap to trade, and I'm really happy now that Tradelocker is integrated in, because that was my first Tradelocker tap to trade, and I got in. He bumped us out. I made $132, and I was happy because yesterday I got slaughtered. So, but that's fine. Each day is its own day, right? That's another rule: is each day is its own day, right? So, don't bring yesterday into today. One has nothing to do with the other. And yeah, so what you were talking about with the way Joel trades is kind of what I wanted to focus in on. Also today is how to set up multiple trades, because that would be more of a trade alert than anything else. Because normally I don't take calls during a training, but I'm keeping my phone on because I'm trying to watch the Telegram channel. So just so you guys know, because if a tap to trade comes up, I wanted to kind of do it live. So, but that's why we're getting calls, which normally we don't. But oh, now I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Joel. So Joel, when he does these alerts, the reason why he doesn't do as many tap to trades is exactly what Mike was talking about. Is if it's a tap to trade, there's three things. Well, there's four things. There's an entry point, right? That's where you're coming into the market. There's a stop loss. That's where if the trade goes against the strategy, there's a safety precaution built in where you could only lose X amount of dollars. 3, there's a take profit, but there's only one that's available. And that would be if the trade goes the way you hope it's going to go, it hits a certain mark, and then you end up making that money. And then 4 would be the lot size. And again, this is the only thing that can be manipulated when the tap to trade comes in. You can open that tap to trade up on the second time that you go to hit the approve button. Then you can adjust the lot size to be where you want it to be, or you can just leave it alone. If you feel comfortable with that trader, agreeing to a 3.95 lot size doesn't necessarily mean I'm agreeing to a $1,200 loss. I just have to know that potentially if that trade doesn't go well, I could lose $1,200. So that's on a tap to trade. So why does Joel maybe, and it's not that the others don't, but Joel specifically, why does he more focus on trade alerts? Well, the reason why Joel focuses on a trade alert is he does this one trade called a New York move. Yeah, it's spelled New York wrong. New York move. And the way a New York move would work is you have your entry point, which is where we're coming into the market. Then you have your stop loss, which usually for him would be like a 10-point drop or a 10-point on top if it's a sell. And then you have like TP1, TP2, TP3, TP4, TP5 in some cases. So like as an example, let's say the entry point was 2,300. And then let's say the stop loss was 2,290. So it was a 10-point stop loss. So basically if you're looking at a chart, let's say this is a buy, that the market would have to go down at least 10 points for you to cash, to lose on that trade. Then the TP1 might be 2305, 2310, 2315, 2320, 2325. He'll kind of like have all these different TPs built in. So when I first started looking at these, whether it's MetaTrader or whether it's Tradelocker, I was like, well, how do I do these, right? Like, I mean, it's one thing to manually enter where it's an EP entry point, a TP, a take profit, an SL, a stop loss, and then a lot size. Okay, there's 4 things I kind of need to know, right? And it's simple if it's a 3-point up, 3-point down. This is where I'm coming into the market, and the lot size on a 200,000 account, I might use like 1 or 2, right? So it's kind of like the same. But now, when I started looking at these trades, I'm like, man, this is like, there's a lot going on here. But I started really watching Joel, and at the beginning, interestingly enough, I was like, man, I think this guy doesn't really know what he's doing, because I lost on a bunch of trades that he opened. But then I started really paying attention to what he was doing, and I realized that wasn't accurate. It was just different than what I was, like, I was maybe manipulating the trades a little bit because I was using the rules from other traders. because I thought maybe I didn't want as big of a risk. And, there was just different things that I was not really doing it exactly the way he had it set up. And so I started just doing it the way he had it set up with a small amount of risk. And when you win on the trades, they win in a big way. So like these trades, when they go all the way up to some of these higher stop losses, work out really well, but they're just longer trades. So let me explain what I mean by that. Let's say Javid or Brent, right? These guys do a lot of scalp trades. So what is a scalp trade? That is a quick hit trade. That trade is most likely going to be concluded within a few minutes. And I'm not saying Joel doesn't do these, but these guys mainly focus on scalp trades where that trade is in and out. And that's why it's 3 points up, 3 points down. You're going to get in, it's going to go, the market's going to go up or down, and you're going to hit it. They do all this technical analysis to pick these trades, which is interesting because sometimes they just don't work. But they're doing a lot of technical analysis to formulate this trade strategy and pick the right possible moment to go in, and then it either goes or it doesn't go, but it's quick. Usually, I'm saying always, usually they're quick. That's a scalp trade, right? So even if you look at day trading is not scalp trading. Scalp trading is a different form of day trading where you're in and out of the market. Now, I like scalp trading. I like fast trades because the market to me is so volatile right now that I don't want to be in anything long term. I like focusing on the individual day. So I do like these scalp trades. They're quick. When you look at the trades that Joel does, Joel's trades are not, let's say, as fast. It might unfold over the next few hours or overnight or during the course of the day. Now, some of them do move fast. Like I've seen him come in and set up one of these New York moves, and the market just goes up, and you boom, 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 and you hit all these trades, and I'm like, how did you know that the market was going to go so crazy? And I don't think he knew necessarily it was going to go that fast, but it's not luck if you continue to keep doing it and winning. And I'm not saying it's always a win, but he does win probably a lot more than he loses. And when he does win, they're really good trades because there's multiple trades built in. So the question is, how do you do it? Right? How do you, because again, this is going to be an alert. This isn't a tap to trade. So a tap to trade, there's really not much to train on, right? Like once you're integrated in to Akashx, whether it's Tradelocker or MetaTrader 5, you just got to be watching Telegram or watching your phone because you'll get an alert. I like Telegram because it tells me that a tap is coming in. I see the tap, I'm kind of getting it from both sides. And then I agree to the tap, and I'm integrated in, and I'm already in the trade. And they're sort of managing that trade for me. Hold on a second. So I do like the tap to trades, but on the alerts provide. Now I have to go in and I have to manually enter these trades into the system. So this is where I'm saying if you just want to swim in the shallow end of the pool and you just want to take the trades, the tap the trades, that's fine. Just keep in mind, and I've talked to some of the traders about this, that you can use just tap the trades to get through a challenge, but it might take longer to do because they're not always able to do tap the trades. Like there's sometimes where days might go by where we don't see a tap, and then maybe there's one day where there's 10 of them, and people that don't understand trading are like, I don't know what's happening. Why is this not working? I'm not getting any taps. And it's not that you're not getting taps or that it's not working, but they can't force those types of trades to be there. Like, think about it. You have to have all of your technical analysis, the charts, everything drawn out. You're waiting for the perfect time of what you predict the market's going to do. You pre-program it in, and so that you can actually send that alert out to the group. And you're waiting. You finally see that it's going to be there. You hit go. You send it out, and now in hopes that the market actually does what you're going to do, that means all the stars have to align. That is a really interesting skill set from a trader's perspective, and we're asking a lot of them to predict the market. And then, of course, if it doesn't go well, we hold them accountable, right? Now, I don't like that trader, or it didn't work, or this is all over the place, or we say whatever, because we just want to sit back and we want to execute these trades without learning anything. Well, once you learn a little bit, you realize this isn't really that easy for them to be able to make these trades and execute these trades. That is a very difficult. Sorry, I got a lot of distractions around me. It's a lot of work that has to go into those tap to trades, and so we can't expect them to force the market. We can't expect them to make something there that's not there, and we can't expect that every tap to trade is going to be a winning trade. But most of the tap to trades are going to work. And again, if you narrow down and find the right traders that you understand their philosophy and you understand the pair that you're trading, then you can really narrow it down. But if that's all you're using and you go into a challenge, it might take a longer period of time to get through the challenge. But okay, so what if it takes 2 months or 3 months to get through a challenge? That's not the worst thing that could possibly happen, because again, at the end of the day, you're going to be ultimately trading using other people's money. So there's a good end result, but it might take a little bit longer. If you're willing to take the time to learn and practice how to put the trades in using the trade alerts, then you can speed up the time, the learning curve and the time. And by practicing putting trades in yourself, you are going to start mastering and understanding some of the things that we're talking about. Even though they may seem foreign to you now, will start to seem familiar to you over time. And I see it with people that are on the call that I talk to every day, and things that they didn't know 2 weeks ago, they're like, oh yeah, you do this and you do that, and oh yeah, I do this, it's easy. I mean, so you're learning even if it doesn't feel like you're learning. So on an alert that we do multiple trades, I want to show you how. Tradelocker here. Okay, so I'm in Tradelocker. So if you're not familiar with what it looks like, this is what it looks like. And there's a couple things that you can sort of change in Tradelocker. So if you come up here to the left corner, you see XAUUSD.Pro, and I'm on a 15-minute candle. So what that means is each one of these candles represents 15 minutes of time. So if I want, I could change that to a 5-minute candle, and it'll now just change that each one of these candles represents 5 minutes in time. So in this 5-minute window here, the market dropped. I changed the colors. I don't like red. It's too emotional. 23.41 down to 23.25. So the market went down essentially 16 points in this 5-minute window. So from here, it was at 23.49, and in 5 minutes, it went down almost 10 points. Then it went up a little bit, and then it went down down to 23.25. So in 10 minutes, it went from 23.49 to 23.25. That's almost a 25-point drop. So now when you hear 3 points, think about that. That's a 25-point drop. and then you can see it's sort of started to climb back up. But each one of these candles represents 5 minutes in time. Now, if I come over here, oh, and also if I want to change the pair, I would come up here to this window. So let's say I wanted to change it to Bitcoin. I would type in BTC, USD, that's the pair that I would use, and then I would go over to the Bitcoin USD window or the Bitcoin USD pair. So I'm just going to keep it on gold, XAU, USD. That's the pair, XAU, USD, .pro. Just has something to do with a little bit faster trades being able to be executed. But the traders kind of bounce between XAU USD and XAU USD .pro. I don't know why they don't stick with one. It doesn't really matter because if you look at the pricing is going to be exactly the same on both. So don't get caught up in that. I just prefer .pro. So if I come over here and I tap on this little arrow here to the right, see this little arrow? It opens up a new window. Now this window is kind of like everything I would need to program in a trade. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example, and let's go back over to Akashx, and I will go, okay, so this is the scanner, but I'm going to go into a trade alert, and let's go over here to commodities. Oh, I'm not logged in here. Hold on a second. Let me log in. It's funny, it always goes so slow when I'm on live. All right. Okay. Okay, so I'm in commodities, right? So if I go to trade alerts, there's Forex. Forex is just foreign exchange. This is pairs like, different currencies, like the Australian dollar and whatever CAD is. I don't remember what CAD is. The euro versus the Japanese yen. I think this is the Czech and versus the Japanese yen. So essentially you're just trading a currency, kind of like when you go into the airport, you exchange money for the local money. That's all they're doing on a chart. Crypto is obviously cryptocurrency. Binaries, I don't really do too much in binaries, so I don't know that I really even know how to explain it. I've kind of stayed away from binaries. I focus on commodities and a little bit in the indices, which are really just the indexes. So like, the U.S. Dow Jones Top 30, all that stuff. For most of you guys, you're going to probably be in commodities. So commodities would be gold. So let's go up to mainly gold. So this would be, let's say, let's find one from Joel. Okay, so here's one from Joel. The second one down, XAU USD. Remember that pair, right? Gold and US dollar. Entry point was 23.67. Then the stop loss, this was a buy, so the stop loss was 23.57. So that was a minus 10 point stop loss, right? Entry point 23.67, stop loss 23.57. Then you have TP1, TP2, TP3, TP4, and TP5, right? So TP5 is 24.10, TP4 was 23.99, 23.85, 23.78, and 23.71. So, all right, let's take a look at this. Entry point 23.67. The first take profit was 4 points above the entry point. Then another 7 points, and then another 7 points, and then another
What was his risk?
14
his
points.
risk?
So his risk was small. So in a alert, he's not giving us the lot size necessarily. Like a tap to trade, the lot size is in there. You can change it, but it's already in there. With an alert, you have to do the lot size. So his lot size recommendation was 0.1% of risk, which is pretty low. I'll show you what that looks like. But you can see, like, when he gets up to 4 and 5, he was looking for a very big swing. He calls this a New York move, where you're essentially programming 5 trades. This is what I wanted to show. So now, let's go back over to Tradelocker, and let's go. So this was a buy. So the first thing you have to determine is it a buy or a sell? A buy is a long, right? So a buy means that the market's going to go up. That's all we're saying is if we think the market is going to go this way. A sell or a short means we think the market is going to go this way, down. That's it, right? So like this green candle, that would be a buy. That would be a long. This white candle, that would be a short. It went down, right? So you can't see whether it's going down or up when it's in here, but you can see based on the color. See sometimes here where it kind of fluctuates back and forth when it's live. Like right now, it's green because it started here. Actually, it started here at the top of this top candle. So if it was a green candle, that means during this 5 minutes, it went up, 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 and then it stopped right around 23.51, and then it kind of came over here, and then it started to go down from where it ended. So that new 5 minute window opened up, and it started to go down from where it ended. So now it's white, but you can sometimes see it'll turn green, which means it'll be going up from the last 5 minute window, right? So there's no rule. Sometimes it'll go green to green to green. Sometimes it'll go white to white to white. There's no rule that says it's got to do one or the other. But when you're in it, you're actually watching it happen live. So you're watching the candle get painted, in a live setting. So that's going down or a sell or a short. This is going up or a buy or a long. So in Joel's prediction, he was suggesting a buy. Now, if I put in the stop loss, his stop loss was 23.57. So I could come in here and just type in 23.57. And you see when I did that, this stop loss came onto the chart. So I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to do it again. I click on this little box. Stop loss. I type in 23.57, and now the stop loss. It's coming. Okay, because the market is different than where that was, so it's looking like that stop loss wouldn't work. So because this is a buy, the stop loss would have to be under the where we come into the market. So this is the entry point right here. So if you look down here, see the green button where it says execute buy, right? A buy. 0.01, I haven't done anything with the lot size, at 23.48, and then this keeps changing because the market is kind of fluctuating right now. This is the entry point right here. So if I was going to do a buy, the stop loss would have to be under the entry point. If I do it up here, look at the numbers. See how they go into the negative? So I have to be under where the market is with my stop loss. So for him, he was 10 points under, so it would be like 23.36-ish. So he was giving a 10-point buffer from where the market currently was. I can't show you exactly based on his numbers. I'm just giving you an idea. He was about 10 points under where the market was. Then he had the 5 different take profits. So if you come into here, the first take profit was 23.71, which was 4 points over his entry point. So right now that would look like 23.51 ish. And that would be about 4 points over where the entry point is right now. So that's what that trade would look like. You see how big the gap is? A 10-point gap for the stop loss, and then a small 4-point gap for the take profit. So if I have a 0.1% lot size for this trade, I'm risking $130 approximately to potentially gain 18 bucks. That doesn't really seem like that great of a deal, but it gets better if you stay with this, right? So let's say I want to execute his trading philosophy. What you could do is open this trade, then come immediately back and do it again. You come in, put in your stop loss, and then you adjust your take profit up to the next level. So now I'm risking $117 for a $70 trade. Then I execute that, I come back, I go for the next take profit, and now I'm getting into where it's more than the 10 points because it's a bigger gap. Then I enter my 4th one. Now, if I'm executing each one of these trades, remember, if that trade goes south, each time I'm risking $115. If I put in 5 trades, that's risking like almost 600 bucks. So if you look at the first trade, it's like, what, I'm going to risk all this for 18 bucks, but you're not. You're essentially, you have 5 trades built in. So you have to come in and do each one of the trades. Use your stop loss. So you'll need a little notepad probably that you'll write down, your entry point, your stop loss, and the different take profits. You'll come over here and you'll program in your stop loss. You'll program in your first entry point, your first take profit. Then you'll hit execute once you agree to whatever the lot size is going to be. So in this case, I could change this. Let's say I wanted to increase the risk and I wanted to do 0.25 lots per trade. Now that seems small on a $200,000 account, but if you're going to do 5 of them, you're really up to 1.25 lot size, and you're talking about a 10-point drop in the stop loss. So it's a bigger risk than a 3-point drop. If that trade doesn't go well, you're losing 5 times. So you can't go into that blindly. You need to know what the risk would be on each one of the trades as a combination. So the best way to do that is just come in and do the first one, find where that 10-point swing would be, put in your, whatever it would be, like 0.1 lot size, and then look at the risk on that trade, which it looks like maybe we should have made that trade because the market continued to go up since I started explaining it. Probably would have been a good trade. And then each time I would be opening it up, I'd be grabbing a new entry point, so I'm opening up all these multiple trades. So essentially you'd be opening up, in this case, 5 separate trades. Now, what Mike was talking about, which I think is a really good strategy, is let's say I opened up those trades and I started.
And they would show up below there.
Yep, they would come in here.
Yep. They would be below.
Yep.
Okay, exactly.
Yep. So let's say I open, and each one would have a little different entry point because the market's kind of fluctuating, right? It's not.
Exactly.
It's not just standing still for us, right? It's like it's kind of moving. So let's say I opened up all 5 trades and they were around like here-ish, and then the market went up, kind of like what it just did. Well, I could then go into each one of these trades. You'll see on the right side there's a little pencil. So like, here, let me just show you with a very small.
So if they said change the stop loss and make it 12, you would have to go to each trade with the pencil and immediately change that stop loss, because that's what happened to Matty Pips. His stop loss had to be changed, and I didn't hear that, and I lost the bid. But if I did raise it a point or two, I would have won a lot of money.
Yep. So let's go in here and let's say this would be a sell, and I would put the stop loss, let's just say 3 points and 3 points, right? We'll say here and here, right? So now I can move it on there, and let's just say I'm not 3 points. Let's go here. Oh, market's kind of moving down. So I'm about even here, and I got a small lot size in, so I'm just going to execute this trade and open this up.
So it's a sell.
It's a sell, right? So the market, I'm saying the market's coming down. So as soon as I open up this trade, this is a very small lot size, just so I could show an example. So when I open up this one trade, now you come over here, and it's got all these little actions over here. So I can open up, as soon as I open up the trade, I can open up this pencil, which now opens the stop loss back up. Now, I came into this trade over here, entry point, 2347.87. So my stop loss was a few points over that. So if I get down to 2347, right, 2347, which right now I'm at 2348. So it's kind of fluctuating right around where I came in. So if I open this up at 23 and I type in 2347, you see I can't do it because the market is above where I came in. So it's not going to let me change that stop loss to a spot that I'm not at yet. So I would have to kind of wait until the market drops down. But if I know I'm going to change the stop loss, so this is a strategy that Steve Matz teaches, Joel, I've heard him teach this, where essentially what you're doing is you're opening up trades based off of the recommendations. But then, and you can do this on a tap to trade too. Once you're in the trade, you can then go into the edit, and essentially once it gets down to a point where you feel confident and you want to kind of lock it in, then you can adjust the stop loss a little bit. Now what you're doing is you're locking in that you can't lose on the trade. So you might bounce out of it because it might hit the stop loss, but you can't lose. So it's a way to protect yourself from taking some of these bigger losses. And so that's probably more so what Javid did is, I'm sure, well, I can't say I'm sure, I would guess that he probably didn't go into that trade and say, let me execute the stop loss. What he probably did was he saw it get into profit, adjusted the stop loss to protect the trade. Then when the trade went against where he was, then it automatically bounced out of the trade. So like right now, I didn't adjust the stop loss. It went into a little bit of profit, but it didn't do enough to where I could lock it in. And now you see the market is going away from where I originally started up. So I didn't risk a lot. So I'm just doing this as an example. I think my risk was like $5 or something, just so I can show it. But you can see now my stop loss is 23.52. The market is at 23.49, so it's 2 points already above, 3 points above where I started off, and I'm essentially losing $2. But this is why I always say start with small lot sizes. You could be practicing with 0.01 all day long, taking trades, and if you make a mistake, it's like, okay, I lost $10, I lost $8. you're not going to make a lot of money, but it gets you used to Tradelocker so that when you execute trades, you're getting more familiar with it. I wouldn't be afraid so much of pressing buttons, but the only thing I would do is just make sure that your lot size is super low so that you don't make a mistake that could be like a costly mistake. So you can see here.
Every time you place a bid, does a trade locker charge you $8?
Well, it's a percentage of the trade. So like my fee on this was 7 cents.
All right.
So see the fee, 7 cents, and you're not really being charged a fee. It's just coming out of your fake money, so it's not real. But again, if you're treating it like real money, yes, it would be $7, and that's another reason why Tradelocker is also really good to practice with, because you're using it replicates what real fees would look like.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to open up a trade, but you can see if I were to open up 5 different trades, I would just come in and I would hit this, put in the stop loss, and I would put in the new take profit, open up the second trade, open up the third trade, open up the fourth trade. So if I did that with, let's say, a 2 lot size, which would be like a pretty, I think, aggressive trade. Like, here, let's go. Okay, so let's say, forget about this. Let's say I was going to open up another trade. Let's say, again, I was going to say it's a sell. My stop loss would be above here. So the market's at 23.49. I'm going to pack 3 points on. So 23.52-ish. And again, the market moves. It might not always be perfect. Might take profit. I can slide it down to be about 3 points less, 23.45. Actually, that's not too far off. Maybe 23.46, somewhere in that range, right? So now this is a 0.01 lot size. So you see it's about even. Almost $3 win, $3 lose. But if I change that to a 0.1 instead of a 0.01, now it's a $25 loss or a $35 win. If I change it to a full lot, it's about $300. If I did 10 lots, it's about $3,000, right? So, 5 lots, about 1,400. Give or take. Obviously, it depends on market. But if this is about even, 10 lots would be about 1,500 on a loss, 1,500 on win. So just play around with the lot sizes so that you can kind of get an idea of how much you're risking. But this is based off of packing 3 points on. If I do Joel's strategy and the market's at 23.50 and I pack on 10 points, look at 5 lots. I'm basically risking $5,000 to gain 2,200. I don't know that I like that risk, right? Like, so you need to be aware of the lot size and the amount of points that are being tacked into the stop loss, which again you can see when you come in here. That's the one thing I do like about Tradelocker. When I come into Tradelocker, it tells me everything I need to know. If I just learn how to read the numbers that are on the screen, I know that I'm at a 10-point drop, right? 23.50 is the entry point. I put in 23.60. That's 10 points above here. And I have a 5 lot size, which means my risk is $4,800, which means if the market shoots up, which it does sometimes, right? You've seen it with these guys. It happens all the time where the market just goes crazy and it just shoots up. And what's even worse is when it does this shit. Here, hold on. Where's this? I don't know where one of these are. There was one this morning, but let's see. I mean, this isn't as dramatic, but like, see the, okay. I guess even this line. See this little thin line? These little thin lines. See this little thin line where my finger's at? That little thin line means that the market went down. Look at this. From here, 23.96 to here, 23.82. It doesn't look like a lot on here, but that's 14 points. So remember, this represents a 5-minute window, but if it's a long candle like this, that means it went down, 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 and then came right back up. It's almost, a lot of people traders say that that's market manipulation. When you see stuff like that where it just goes crazy in one direction and then comes right back up, that's market manipulation. I don't know. I mean, if I say it, I'm just regurgitating what these guys say. But to me, it does seem a little weird that, it's not like people that are running big money, they know what the trading philosophies are. So if they want to wipe out all the traders, they could easily wipe out all the traders and then come back in. Right? So, this stuff has been happening in the stock exchange for years. This is more unregulated. So, of course, you have to assume that it is happening here too, which is also explains why sometimes the traders might put in a trade using all the market analysis, using all the technical stuff, and then the market goes against their strategy. But it might not be them. It might be market manipulation, and obviously nobody can predict that. I don't care if it's a bot, I don't care if it's a trader, you cannot predict market manipulation. So you can see I'm still in a losing scenario here with this trade. If I wanted to, I could close it out early, right? So I can just cancel this trade if I wanted to. I could adjust the stop loss. So the stop loss I had was 23.52. We're at 23.50. I could adjust it down to 23.51. So I can say I don't want to lose any more than this $3, and then I'm essentially saying I'm minimizing my risk. But the strategy that Mike was talking about, which is the strategy, so I just did it. So I just adjusted. Now you got to see that. That was good. I adjusted my stop loss down to 23.51, and the market went up, hit 23.51. So I lost $3.23 on that experiment, which is fine. But again, that's why we play. If we're going to play, we play with very small amounts of money so that we're not risking a whole lot. But essentially, that's all you're doing. You're just coming in here, you're entering multiple trades. You get a notepad, a piece of paper, jot down your entry point, jot down your stop loss, jot down your TP1, TP2, TP3, TP4, TP5. You're going to come over here. Is it a buy or a sell? Right? A long or a short? If it's a buy, then I'm going to have a take profit that is above where I'm at. My stop loss would then be below where I'm at. If it's a sell, my stop loss would have to be up here, and my take profit would have to be down here, because I'm saying I think the market's going to go this way, right? But if it goes this way, I want protection. If it goes this way, I make money. So essentially, with TTT, it's like a hybrid bot system we're using. It's not a robot that is programming in the trades. It's a human, but it is a lot like a bot where we are essentially kind of taking trades that we didn't design. The difference between TTT and an actual bot is a bot is going to open and close trades automatically. That's the only difference between a bot really and a trader. And really, when you look at strategies and diversification, I feel like everybody should be kind of using both, right? Why not? So hopefully that kind of showed how to do multiple trades. I got to show you how to edit a trade, how to change the stop loss. I didn't get to show you how to protect yourself, where if the trade got into profit, then I could adjust the trade to make sure that I'm protected from a loss. That's what I really wanted to show you, but the market went in a different direction. I wasn't analyzing anything, so it is what it is. But you can kind of get the gist of it, which is if the market, if it goes into green, then you would just adjust your stop loss to be a little bit above or below, depending on which way you went, with your stop loss as compared to your entry point. And then if it goes back up and it hits that stop loss, you'll still make a little bit of money, but more so you're protecting yourself from taking a big loss. So we got to see how to do that. We got to see how to open up multiple trades, how to edit, how to potentially close a trade early. If you want to close a trade early, you can do that on a tap to trade. You can do that, obviously, if you put in a manual trade. You're not locked into anything. We talked about getting a tap to trade and adjusting the lot size, coming into Tradelocker and playing around with the lot sizes so you can see how much money you're risking, so that you understand what you're agreeing to when you accept a tap to trade. So I feel like we kind of covered a lot of ground today. It's 12, so does anybody have any other questions or anything that they feel?
No, the only thing, Glenn, this is Glenn, the only thing that we have to do is get that video out. And I heard that you sent it over to Jordan, so I will watch it so I can get the two married together, because right now I can't marry the Akashx account to my Tradelocker because something's not there, but I'm already in Sage FX. I've already got identified.
Okay.
I got my password. I can get into Tradelocker.
So are you logged into Tradelocker?
Yeah, I can get in.
Okay, so Sage FX gave you the investor password and the server thing and all that stuff. You're able to log into Tradelocker.
Right, and I got that. But then when I go to Akashx, try to marry the two together, that dog ain't hunting.
That dog ain't hunting, huh? So you gotta go over here, and I guess we'll probably have to go on another Zoom.
You don't have to do it now. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and, because mine says it doesn't say reset. It says connect.
Okay, so you don't have anything connected right now?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so then all you really should have to do is put in the email address that you used to enroll with Sage FX, the account password that they sent you for Tradelocker, confirm that password, and then under your broker name is going to be, I don't remember, what did we figure out? It's not Sage FX. Oh, it's Tradelocker.
So
right?
It's Tradelocker, but that's the issue. It's Tradelocker and then it's Tradelocker demo, but it's not accepting the Sage passcode and syncing from there. That's the glitch. So we've done all those things.
So when you say the Sage passcode, you're not using the passcode that you logged into Sage with. Didn't Sage give you a passcode for Tradelocker?
Correct.
And you're using that, but it's not working?
Correct.
Okay. Did you try and use Tradelocker and not demo, but the other one, maybe like live?
That did not occur to me to do. So
and the only reason why I say that is because
yeah.
when we were doing the hookup to MetaTrader 5, we had to use live. So maybe
it doesn't give that option.
Okay, what are the options?
If you choose Tradelocker, it only gives you the demo.
Okay, it only gives you the demo, Tradelocker demo, and you're using the password that Sage gave you.
And it says invalid account. This means that the combination of login, password, broker server is incorrect.
So what that tells me maybe is that TradeX Mastery, which is who we run the challenges through, may be, and I'm just going out on a limb, maybe who they used to do all this programming integration with. Like, I wonder if they did it specifically so people could go through the challenge. But then that doesn't really make sense, though. So I think you're gonna have to probably
if you select TradeX Mastery, you have the option to select if you're in a challenge or fully funded. So
okay.
I don't.
So I think the only thing I would probably suggest doing is try to do it like, say you're funded or say you're in a challenge. Like, just try some of the other options. And because what's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, it's not really going to hurt anything. Like, if it connects, or if it doesn't connect, it doesn't connect. So I would just try some different options and see if you can score with maybe one of the other options. Because if not,
like the only other option to take, like if you choose Tradelocker, there are no options. That's what it is. If you choose TradeX Mastery, I wonder if you put in the Sage, would that maybe work? That doesn't sound like it's a thing, but I can try it.
Like it. I mean, I guess you could try. I mean, look, all you're doing is putting in the email address and the password that Sage FX gave you to log into Tradelocker. So maybe just put in TradeX Mastery, just like I have it, TradeX Mastery and a challenge account, but then use the password.
The Sage.
I don't think it's going to work, but I'm just saying try it. Why not? You know, you're not going to hurt anything.
None of them. I just tried both. None of them worked.
None of them worked. Okay.
So my thinking is that the Tradelocker demo isn't synced up to anything in Akashx, because quite honestly, you don't really need it to, because the demo account can't take tapped trades. It's not doing anything on there. So I just think for if someone wants a demo, they just use that via Sage or whatever, and Tradelocker, use that account. And then when you're ready to sync it up to Akashx, you're going to be doing the challenge and TradeX Mastery. That's my thinking on it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Why would you really need it connected to Akashx right now?
I mean,
for Tradelocker.
At the end of the day, I don't know that. I think the main purpose of them, you're right, like hooking up Tradelocker, was so that people could use TTT for challenges. Like, that's the main thing. Like, that's all they're really focused on. So I think that it's good for people to practice using Tradelocker before they get in the challenge. So we're essentially working around it, I guess, a little bit by attempting Sage FX. I mean, there's other companies like ForFX, but I don't see how that would make a really big difference. A brokerage account is a brokerage account. You're getting the brokers setting you up with a Tradelocker account. They're giving you the password. You're bringing the password over here. It should work. I mean, hypothetically, TradeX Mastery really doesn't even have anything to do with this connection. It's really Tradelocker. I just got the login and password from TradeX Mastery for Tradelocker and brought that in here. But TradeX Mastery is sort of connected to this whole thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, yours says on your screen, it says reset. Mine,
but that's
it doesn't
be already
say
connected.
Well, yeah, mine's already connected. That's why.
Yeah, because mine's not. When I first got in, I hit reset, and then I put the information in that I got from Sage FX, and it just wouldn't go through. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, you don't have to reset it, Dad, because you already hit the reset. So now it's just waiting for you to reconnect. So you wouldn't need to reset again.
All right, cool. Got it.
Because it already got rid of your. You already got rid of your MetaTrader 5.
MetaTrader 5. All right, well, we'll figure that out, and then once we do, we can do tap the trades. But is tap to trades working with the Akashx right now?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I did. I mean, it's working for me. I mean, I did a
But
tap.
you're in the challenge though.
Right, but I mean, I'm in Tradelocker, so I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm in the challenge, but that's not relevant to the fact that Tradelocker and Akashx are in sync now. So I can accept the tap to trade, and it's going to execute it on Tradelocker, and I'm in a challenge. So hypothetically, if I can
really?
behave myself and stop taking stupid chances, I should be able to get through a challenge.
Yeah, so I can take the challenge then and just do tap the trades.
You could,
And
you know, and another
that
idea that you
sync
could
it.
potentially do is you don't have to do a $200,000 account with the challenge. Like maybe do a $25,000 account, and you know, just do something smaller so that you're not putting a lot of money out, and then you can still practice with tap to trade with Tradelocker, but it's not like so much pressure because it's a smaller account. Like let's look to see.
But if you win the challenge at the 25K, is that what you get when you use other people's money, or do you can win the challenge at 25K and get 100K?
Nope. If you pick 25,000, then that's essentially what your that's what
You're going to get from other people.
yeah, that's what you're getting. So, but you can have multiple challenge accounts open. It's like, see, I only have one open, but I can have 3 or 4. You know, like it's not, you don't just have to have one. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying don't do 200 or don't do 100, but if you do if you do 25,000 and you don't do the add-ons, it's $225. It's not really that bad, you know. And then yes,
Right.
You're right. If you get through the challenge, you only have a $25,000 trading account. But if you're trading at, let's say, 1% a day, 25,000 times 1% is $250. $250 times 5 days over the course of the week is $1,250. $1,250 over the course of the year is $65,000 per year in just straight up earnings off of that $25,000 account. So it's not like that's chump change, and I'm not saying that that's the only account you would have to have. But if you get a $25,000 account, then say, okay, I'm going to now do a $50,000, or I'm going to do 100. Like I've done it now. So I'm just saying, if you're just doing it to kind of like still practice with Tradelocker, maybe don't go all in on a $200,000 account. Maybe do something a little bit smaller until you get more comfortable. But if you feel confident enough to say, I don't care, I want to do the 200,000 or at least 100,000. I mean, 100,000 is actually 100,000 is only $500. So actually, that's probably that's the sweet spot right there. I would do 100 because 25,000 is 225. So
And 100 is 500.
and
so
100 is
you're getting
500.
Much more.
Yeah, I would probably do 100, $500.
Yeah.
Because then if
All
you
right, well, I'm
win,
gonna play with.
it's
yeah.
just more.